Hi everyone, and welcome to our English curriculum video which outlines the way in which we go about English at Brindley Heath Academy. I'm going to start with our curriculum intent and what we want to achieve with our English curriculum at Brindley. And ultimately what we want to do is we want our children at Brindley to develop a lifelong love and passion for the power of reading and writing. We want all of our children to be confident, fluent readers who read widely, read often, read for pleasure, and read to learn. We want them to be exposed to a variety of literature, genres, and authors. We believe that children need to develop a skill set in English, which follows a clear pathway of progression, both in terms of reading and writing. This will give the children the confidence to apply their learned skills within their own learning, within English lessons, and also across the wider curriculum. We want to create a culture in which children take pride in their writing, can write clearly and accurately, and adapt their language and style for a range of contexts, audiences, and purposes. We want our children to aspire to be authors, to develop an individual style and tone, drawing upon the styles of authors that they encounter through their reading, and to see writing as a process that involves initial thinking, the planning part, drafting and editing, which was reflecting upon and refining their work, and ultimately publishing, which is polishing and producing that final piece. We also want our children to communicate with confidence, to enter into discussion and to present their ideas to each other by talking, being able to elaborate and explain themselves clearly, and to make presentations and participate in debates. So that's the intent for our curriculum, but how do we do it? Well, we do it through writing and reading lessons. So in school, in each year group, the children complete a series of writing journeys in which children develop the skills required to become an accomplished, confident, and ultimately independent writer. Our English writing lessons take place 5 times per week and are an hour each. In school, we write for different purposes and audience. So by purpose, what I mean is why we are writing, and audience is who we are writing for. And across school there are 4 core writing purposes. We have writing to entertain, writing to persuade, writing to inform, and in upper key stage 2, which is years 5 and 6, writing to discuss. So writing to entertain is essentially fiction writing, where we look at stories and narratives, descriptions of characters and settings, and poetry. And on the left here you can see how the different skills are broken down in lower key stage 2, which is years 3 and 4, where lots of skills are introduced, and then in the upper key stage 2 the other skills you would likely be exposed to. For example, in lower key stage 2, children are taught how to use fronted adverbials to show how and when an event occurs, or to use expanded noun phrases to add detail and description. And then in upper key stage 2, children might learn to use different clause structures, such as relative clauses, so their sentences are slightly more complicated in design. And that will continue all the way through their journey from year 3 to year 6. We also have writing to inform. Writing to inform is a slightly more formal writing tone in which children look at how to write explanation texts, or recounts, or newspapers, or letters, or report writing, such as non-chronological reports where you give information to a reader. And again, they can be broken down from the sorts of skills you might see in low key stage 2, years 3 and 4, through to years 5 and 6 in upper key stage 2. Again, there's a pathway of progression that allows the children to develop their skills over time. Writing to persuade is where children come up with do writing that's based in science to convince people of something or to change their mind. So this might be advertising, or writing adverts, or writing persuasive letters, or even persuasive speeches. And again, there's a pathway of progression where things are developed from lower key stage 2 up into upper key stage 2, as highlighted on the picture on the left. The final type of writing takes place in upper key stage 2, and it's called writing to discuss. And this is where we might look at balanced arguments, where we look at 2 viewpoints from one side and one from the other side, to give a well-reasoned and well-balanced argument from both points of view. Now in each year group, what we've done is we've mapped out units of work that involve all the different writing to learning journeys. Now typically across a year, about roughly half of the year is dedicated to writing to entertain, with the rest of the time dedicating to writing to persuade and writing to inform. And you can see there that across a year, on average, we complete roughly 3 units of writing every half term, with it roughly equating to about 2 weeks per unit, but that can vary from piece to piece. What this does is it gives teachers the time to teach the children the skills they need to be able to produce an effective piece of writing at the end. These units and these yearly overviews have been created by class teachers alongside our leadership team to ensure children get a varied diet of different writing purposes, and as well as different topics and areas. So sometimes the writing units link to experiences, such as within our local community, persuading people to go to Kimber, or they'll relate to our topic, such as Stone Age Boy down there, which is a topic theme writing, and Boudica. Or they might relate to books that we're reading, so across the top here are some of our class readers, and some of the writing might relate to books. What we try to do is give children a really varied stimulus so everyone is interested by the different types of writing we do, and every unit of work is supposed to be inspiring and something that children really want to do well with at the end. And we do find that children typically really engage with the varied task design we give them. This continues each year group, so year 4s is here, and you can see again a good variety of writing to entertain units, writing to inform units, and writing to persuade units. Again, across the top there's a variety of class texts that are studied. Those are read in the afternoon to the children, and sometimes we use some of those to help with our writing. For example, Beowulf there, which is a Michael Morpurgo book. They do a writing to entertain unit where they look at setting descriptions, because within that book itself there's lots of brilliant writing we can do about that. The same with the Narnia piece there. Again, the children tend to really engage with the wide variety of tasks that they're given. This continues through each year group into year 5. As you can see here, they start the year with a really interesting topic all about Stormbreaker, the Alex Rider series, and they do a series of different writing, some writing to inform, writing to explain, some writing to entertain, all related to that book, before going into some different units later in the year. With year 6, who build upon all of the learning that the children have learned all the way through school to create some really fantastic pieces of writing. Now, at times through the year, we will add in other units, depending on things that are happening in the world. If there's something really interesting happening across the world, we might stop what we're doing and do a piece of writing about something different. And sometimes we do whole school units of work where we just across from years 3 to 6, we use a different stimulus to write about all together. But generally, these tends to be the topics that we use. They are reviewed every year, and we try and keep it up to date and current. And if we find that a unit just doesn't work for one year group, or maybe it doesn't fit for a cohort, we'll change it to a different one the following year, because ultimately variety is the spice of life. So the journey itself, how the 2-week unit or 3-week unit if needs be works, is that each writing sequence is designed using what we call our very own Brindley Heath writing journey. And the way this works is it starts with, it's basically the 5 E's. So we have establish, explore as a reader, explore as a writer, evolve, and exhibit. And what this does is this takes children all the way from the starting point of their journey, so by the end they can create and craft their own piece of writing and be really confident when they do it. The journey is designed to enable children to have the opportunity to explore quality models for writing, to practice and rehearse the skills of writing, and to plan, draft, edit and publish their own written outcomes. And a lot of our writing journey that we've designed is based on the work of Ron Berger from an Ethic of Excellence books. And this is one of the quotes from his book where it says, students need to know from the outset that quality means rethinking, reworking and polishing. And that's why we try to give children the time to plan, draft, edit and improve their own writing, because what we want at the end is of the highest quality. So what does the journey entail? Well, this is where we give the purpose to the writing and make that really clear to the children what the end goal is. What are we writing for? Why are we writing it? And who are we writing for? It's that audience and purpose again. And at the bottom here is another quote from the Ethic of Excellence book where it says, anytime you make the work public, set the bar high and transparent about the steps to make a high quality product, kids will deliver. So what we try to do with the children here is to make it really clear to them why they are writing this piece. We often call this the hook, the bit that's supposed to really interest them. And it could be simple as we're looking at a video clip and write a bit of narrative to go with the video. Or it could be for a real life purpose where we're trying to write a letter to a company to make them change their ways. That the more children are interested by that point, or the more that we can appeal to them to make the writing real, the better the outcomes will be. Once children know why they're writing, we then go through the explore as a reader stage. And this is where we look at a quality model for writing, or a series of quality models for writing. And we explore them from the perspective of both a reader and a writer. So we look at extracts to do with the genre. Say if it's a writing to inform unit to do with non-chronological reports, we'll look at quality reports and study how they are written and why they are written and the impact they have on us as a reader, but also how they were constructed from the point of view as a writer. So children are totally unclear on what quality looks like. Often you'll hear us use the term waggle, and what that means is what a good one looks like. Following the explore as a reader stage where we look at quality, we then give children the chance to learn the skills of the writing. So here it's where explore as a writer is where children are given the opportunity to learn, rehearse and practice the writing skills required to produce a quality output. And this may involve word level work, so vocabulary, looking at phrases and words that relate to the subject matter. It could be sentence level practice, where we learn some of the skills related to our unit of work, whether that's using fronted adverbials or using subordinate clauses and subordinate conjunctions. Or it might be paragraph level practice, where children learn to pull together a number of sentences all together as one. Ultimately, the explore section of the journey, both the explore as a reader and explore as a writer, this part of the journey enables children to explore what quality looks like and learn, revise and practice using the writing skills required. It gives us as an opportunity as adults to teach the children how to write and how to write quality. For example, you don't know how to write dialogue or to put speech together until you've learned it in a lesson, and this is where we can teach those skills. Once the children have developed their skills, we then go into our evolve section. So it says here, now that children have been given the opportunity to explore what quality looks like and practice their writing skills, the children are given the opportunity to plan and draft their own piece. This is the children's opportunity to apply their learning to the final end product, and this may very well apply to the established piece. So children have learned what quality looks like, they've learned the skills of writing, and now they begin to plan out their piece of writing to go with this unit. Again, another quote from an Ethic of Excellence here that influences a lot of what we do in writing at Brindley. It says, if you're going to do something, I believe you should do it well. You should sweat over it and make sure it's strong and accurate and beautiful, and you should be proud of it. It relates to us, our value of being proud. So we give the children the time to gather lots of phrases, gather lots of ideas, map out the structure for their writing, and be totally clear on what they're going to write about. Then what the children do is they draft out their writing, and they're given feedback from teachers through the use of highlighter pens and in the moment feedback where we talk to the children to tell them how their writing's going and how they can improve it. And what the children are doing is they're given an opportunity to produce an exhibit. So once they've planned and drafted and edited their writing in what we have draft books to do that in, The children can then produce their final polished piece, and this is where they can produce that final, accurate, beautiful piece that they're proud of. And what we like to do is give the children opportunity to present it in different ways, on beautiful pieces of paper, or even record their writing aloud to give it that verbal output. Ultimately, we want the children at this point to be really, really proud of their final piece. And that's why it says that 100% quality premium product. So that's how it works. We establish the audience and purpose who we're writing for. We look at quality models for writing and explore the skills of the unit, and we plan, draft, edit, improve, responding to feedback before finally exhibiting our writing and producing the final piece. And it encompasses all of our school values. You can see there, be resilient. You've got to be resilient to keep editing and improving and fixing your writing. You've got to be aspirational to want to achieve the very best, and ultimately to be proud of your final pieces. And these are just some of the examples of wonderful writing that children produce, each with their own little take and their own little twist, and really, really fantastic end products that are put together across all of the year groups. Within our writing curriculum, it's intended to be inspiring, excited, and varied in design. And there are a number of links and threads that run through the writing curriculum. For example, in Year 4, children complete a unit based on Beowulf by Michael Morpurgo, and this exposes children to the use of what we call archaic language and archaic themes. And this is followed up in Year 5, so the children complete a unit based on Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, as well as a series of units related to famous Greek myths. And again here they'll be exposed to archaic language and the idea of writing from a different time. Finally, in Year 6, children complete a number of different units such as Macbeth, the Highwayman, and they look at the tales of the Beadle and the Bard from the Harry Potter series. All of these units make reference to archaic language, and children build up a familiarity and a point of reference with which to write in a certain style or mood. And for us as teachers, it makes it much easier, because a Year 6 teacher, I can say to the children, do you remember in Year 5 when you did Sir Gawain and you looked at archaic language? Well, we're going to use some of those skills in this unit today. So those threads run through our curriculum. Throughout Key Stage 2, children are given numerous opportunities to write to persuade, or to inform, or to entertain. They develop a familiarity with the structural features of different genres over time, and teachers can make reference to prior learning in which similar writing to purposes have been studied. As I said earlier, the curriculum is reviewed year on year to ensure the units studied have the maximum impact, and we tend to change them as we go along to make sure it's always up to date, and we've always got the best quality units available for the children for each year group. Within school, how it works, we have teacher assessment frameworks. So each year group has a series of teacher assessment framework statements that provide a reference point for making ongoing assessments. Children's writing within a writing journey is assessed using child-friendly keys to success checklists that make reference to year group task statements, as well as wider genre-related statements. Over time, teachers collate evidence of a child's ability to independently apply taught skills within their own writing. Assessments of writing is based upon a collation of writing evidence as opposed to one-off writing assessments. So we build up lots of evidence to go with the children's writings in order to build a picture of their writing ability and what next steps they need as writers. We have in-school writing moderation takes place to quality assure writing assessments made by teachers. The tasks are progressive and the skills are built on term by term and year by year, so the children become more and more proficient and more secure in their writing skills, and they're often referred to term on term and year on year, so children develop that security. The tasks themselves can be viewed on our school website under curriculum. They provide a detailed breakdown of the types of skills covered in each year. On to reading then. So obviously you can see there within our writing journey we have a reading section where children look at quality models, the impacts of reader, but also on top of that we also have explicit reading lessons where we teach the skills of reading separately to our writing journey. Children are explicitly taught the skills of reading outlined in the national curriculum and the Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 test domains through the use of VIPERS, which were created by Rob Smith, the Literary Shed. You can see there we use this VIPERS acronym in our school and the children will be familiar with it. So what VIPers means is these are the content domains that children study in reading, to give and explain the meaning of words in context, to record and retrieve information, to summarise main ideas, to make inferences, to predict, to identify and explain how information and content is related, and to make comparisons within a text. And then that's broken down into the different VIPer areas of vocabulary, retrieval, summary, inference, prediction, and explanation. And what we do is study a different VIPer in our different lessons. Now, across school we have our reading spine, and in the reading lessons the teachers teach different reading lessons based on this reading spine. Again, these have been created across schools so they include a wide variety of authors, a wide variety of different people, and also lots of different diversity of curriculum. So we study books from different cultures, we ensure that poetry is studied, we ensure that classic texts are studied, and throughout the year children will be exposed to the different texts through different extracts within their reading lesson. And this continues into year 4. You can see the year 4 map on our website there, which includes things such as Black history, the author Jennifer Killick, classics such as The Demon Headmaster and Alice in Wonderland, as well as sporting icons such as Muhammad Ali and Venus and Serena Williams. Here's year 5's one. So they studied some texts by Michael Morpurgo and Frank Cottrell Boyce and Kate and Camillo. We also have class readers. You can see there the class readers are read each half term, and that's where children are listening to a class reader after lunchtime and just enjoy a story such as Tom's Midnight Garden or Who Let the Gods Out by Maz Evans or The Boy at the Back of the Class. All amazing books there that the children can enjoy. And then finally in year 6, this is our year 6 curriculum, which includes topics such as inspirational women, civil rights, understanding autism, as well as our class readers and our classic texts and books by different authors such as Piers Today and Catherine Rundell. What teachers do is that they break down the reading into half-termly overviews. So here you can see a year 6 half-termly medium-term plan. It's got our class reader for the half-term, which is Wonder by R.J. Palacio, that the children enjoy. And then what we do is we study different extracts from different books so children get a wide variety of reading. And the VIPer focus for those lessons is on the right there. So for example, in week 1, where the children have looked at the Goldfish Boy extract and they've looked at an extract from the London Eye Mystery, which are 2 amazing novels. Within that week they'll have done some learning about how you make predictions, which is the P in VIPers, and how you retrieve information, which is the R in VIPers. VIPer whole class reading sessions take place 4 times a week for 30 minutes. And in addition to this, in Key Stage 2 on a fortnightly basis, there'll be one extended 60-minute session that replaces the literacy session for that day. These are separate too, but may complement literacy sessions. So we study reading lessons 4 times a week for 30 minutes, but we also every fortnight do a 60-minute session where we do the skills of comprehension, which looks at a wide variety of VIPers all in one session. In terms of genre coverage, in an example 6-week half term, 3 weeks will typically be spent on fiction, 2 weeks will be spent on non-fiction texts, and about 1 week on poetry, to give again children that wide variety. So the learning sequence of our week. So in a 4-lesson week, 2 separate VIPers will be covered, 2 days on each. Day 1 will involve reading the extract for the first time, and oral or collaborative learning will take place focused on a specific VIPer. So here we will look at reading extracts, for example the Goldfish Boy extract, and there'll be no written outcomes from the lesson. We will just read the text, children will be given an opportunity to read the text, and we will ask questions where children will talk in pairs or in classes to gain an understanding of the text. On day 2, this will involve recapping the learning from day 4, and it's here the children will do a written activity that will relate to a VIPer in question. So this is how a typical learning journey works. So typically each reading session will begin with the teacher reading to the children. This gives the teacher an opportunity to model reading, expression and intonation, and ultimately to promote that love of reading. Then children are given the opportunity to read themselves through either a partner read or an independent read. It says here, following this, the children then read the rest of the extract. This may be done independently, as a pair, with the support of an adult. During this stage, an adult may listen to what different children read on rotation so as to assess their word reading fluency. So children are given the opportunity to read the extract themselves as well. We then have what we call a Vocab Lab. And this may take place before the reading or after the reading, depending on when's needed. And it tends to be a short 5-minute focus upon vocabulary. Often this vocabulary will be words that children are about to come across in the text that will help them with their understanding. So you can see on screen here, this is a text called Room 13 that we look at, and the underlying words are the sort of words that children won't always understand, so we might go through them beforehand so everyone's clear on what the different meanings are. Then we do what's called a quick quiz. So once we've read the text, we've done our Vocab Lab, the children take part in a quickfire 5 to 8 question mini quiz, and the focus really is on quick recall of key facts and key information. It's fast and fun. The children do it on whiteboards in pairs as quick as they can, and typically all children can access that and find the answers fairly quickly, which they quite enjoy. After that, we complete a series of oral activities where the children discuss things together. So it says there, the children will then complete a series of activities that encourage the children to collaborate and discuss their ideas, thoughts and opinions. And this can be done as pairs, in groups, or as a whole class. And for example, on the text that we've just looked at here, this Room 13 text, those are sorts of activities they might do. So the idea that teachers at Fliss's school are very strict, and the children will talk about whether they think the teachers are strict or not, to do with the extract. Again, there's no written outcomes here. It's all talking and class discussion, and partner discussion, group discussion, and so forth. The following day, so say that was done on a Monday, the following day the children would look at the same text and they would complete a written or an independent activity. The following day children would take part in an activity that quickly recaps the reading and the learning from the day before, and then they will complete a Vipers reading activity in their reading books, and these are their yellow reading books where they complete these, and these will focus on different Viper areas. So for example, on the lesson on the left there, it's related to vocabulary, and they look at the language the author used to paint a mystical and magical fantasy setting, and they complete a written outcome. On the right here, this is a different lesson to do with Northern Lights by Philip Pullman, and this time they're looking at vocabulary questions, for example things such as find and copy the word that tells you the tables were large, and the children complete that activity in their books. And this gives them the opportunity to develop a range of different reading skills, so they become proficient in all of the skills of reading. That's how we approach reading and writing across school, and as you can see, it's very varied. There's a varied diet of reading and writing across a range of genres, which should build up their skill set over time. We also look at spellings, handwriting and phonics. In terms of spellings, we have a weekly spelling pattern which is taught each week on a Friday. We don't do spelling tests anymore. We didn't find them very useful. Instead, we do lots of low stakes quizzing, word games, identification of patterns, teaching spelling rules, and just enjoying learning a pattern and referring to it in the future. And we do one of those each week. We also practice handwriting once per week and expectations to follow up through the week, where we look at joining patterns, sizing, and improving our handwriting week by week. Some children are given pen licenses when their handwriting reaches a certain standard, which is sort of an aspirational goal for the children as well. As well as that, for children that find reading slightly more difficult, and we have read-writing phonics sessions, so some children might go out in small groups to support their reading development by taking part in the read-writing phonics sessions, which have been really, really effective and the children really, really enjoy. I hope that video has been really, really informative for you. It gives you an idea of how we deliver English at our school. We're really proud of our English curriculum, and we're really proud of the outcomes we get from children, and the amazing work they produce day by day in their writing and their reading and their writing. And we welcome any questions that you might have about our English curriculum. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.